head back to Capitol Hill now. A lot going on there. And I want to bring in Congresswoman Jackie Speier, Democrat from California. And if we can, let's start with Ukraine. Just moments ago, House Majority Leader Eric Cantor said Congress is going to move quickly to vote on sanctions. Let me play that.
The House will be discussing ways that we can help Ukraine's government while putting significant pressure on Russia to stop the flagrant aggression to its neighbor in Ukraine. The world community should stand united against this invasion. America should be leading, and we'll vote soon on legislation to help aid the Ukrainian people.
What would you be supportive of? Do you believe there need to be stronger sanctions, Congresswoman?
Well, first of all, yes, we absolutely need to provide immediate aid, both in terms of loans, loan guarantees, and grants so they can have open and democratic elections so that we can assist them in finding assets that may have been taken with ill-gotten money. In terms of sanctions, it's very important for us to appreciate that unless we have the EU with us, the 28 countries of the EU, the U.S. imposing sanctions on Russia is not going to do anything. It is not even one of our 15 top trading partners in the world. As you pointed out in an earlier segment, the EU does a great deal of trading with Russia. Most of the oil and gas comes from the exporters, and they do in fact import a lot of products from the EU. So we have to do it in conjunction with the EU if we're going to impose sanctions.
But if that's not going to happen for the reasons that we just stated, for example, the trade considerations, the energy considerations, is it worth voting on to make a statement to the world about where America stands on this?
I think, we've got to be honest with ourselves. We can vote that. It's not going to do anything. I mean, there's lots of ways that we can issue resolutions that express our disdain for the pugnacious nature of Putin and the aggression that he has shown in the Ukraine. But I think the fact that Crimea is 60% ethnic Russian, that there are 6 Russian bases in Crimea, speaks volumes of the nature of the relationship between Russia and the Crimea region.
Meantime, where you are on Capitol Hill, there was a bit of drama. It happened less than an hour ago. I think you know what happened, but I'm going to bring everybody else up to speed. Lois Lerner, the former IRS official, pleaded the Fifth again. The committee chair, Darrell, Issa, in this Oversight Committee hearing, dismissed the room without letting the ranking Democrat, Elijah Cummings, ask his questions. And then Cummings basically said, I want to have my say. Later, both lawmakers took questions from reporters. Here's Darrell, Issa.
Mr. Cummings said that he had questions to ask. Instead, he began making an opening statement even after the committee had been adjourned. Therefore, the committee stood adjourned. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, how much of this is a political play for Republicans in the election?
None. Not a shred of it.
All right, and then just seconds ago, literally, this is what Elijah Cummings had to say.
No, I have not. What we have done, and I applaud my members of my committee, I'm very proud of them. They come here seeking the truth. We really do, and I've said this many times. It is very important for us to make sure that government operates properly and operates effectively and efficiently. And all of our members are determined to make that happen.
What's your take, Congresswoman, on what happened here?
First of all, I think the chairman showed a great deal of immaturity. It's like a toddler in a sandlot throwing sand at others because he's not getting his way. He knew precisely that Lois Lerner was going to plead the Fifth. She's pled the Fifth before. She has every right under the Constitution to plead the Fifth. The problem is that this committee is one of the most important committees in the House. It is about oversight. I have spent my entire legislative career working on oversight. We don't do oversight. We've had over 5 hearings on Benghazi. We've had 6 or 7 on the IRS. There are big problems. We have Medicare and Medicaid fraud. We have a Department of Defense with over $500 billion a year in funding that has never been audited. We have $2 billion in spare parts waste going on in the Department of Defense. I could go on with a litany. We don't address any of those issues. It is taking the Republican playbook and hammering over and over again over the same 2 issues. Benghazi and the Affordable Care Act.
Well, let me ask you about the Affordable Care Act, because I know California has surpassed its Obamacare enrollment goal. They have about 800,000 people signed up so far. But they're having this 50th vote, and they're saying, you know, why not delay this penalty on the individual mandate? Why not? What's the issue here? What's your take on this 50th vote on Obamacare?
Well, that's another example of how it's all about political messaging. It's not about fixing some of the elements of the Affordable Care Act. There are things we should fix with the Affordable Care Act. I'm willing to look at postponing the imposition of the fine. It's $100. There are ways, frankly, that anyone who can show that they have hardship can, in fact, forego that particular fine in the first year. So lots of reasons to come together and work together in solutions, but that's not what this is about. This has become a campaign-driven Congress, and it's disgusting to me.
Congresswoman Jackie Speier on a lot of topics, which suddenly turned into a very busy day on Capitol Hill. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
My pleasure.